Previously on TVSins.
I swear, Fiona, you're nothing like anyone I've ever met. You make me want to enjoy my life again.
You had me at hello.
Poor printer preparation pushes pages to perilously plummet. Peep the paper spam.
This is Michael Scott. I am the regional manager of Dunder Mifflin Paper Products.
Michael is the regional manager, but he's only shown to manage the one location in Scranton. And we even hear later that there's a Stanford branch nearby that also has a manager. So what's with the nonsensical nomenclature right off the bat, the office? I know this was all the way back in 2005, but is there any reason to have a no smoking sign this f***ing large in a very insular office space? And yet another sign by Pam? What the hell's going on with the smoking in Scranton that they need this much signage? I must know!
I've been at Dunder Mifflin for 12 years.
Welcome to the wonderful world of fake documentary sitcoms, where breaking the fourth wall and exposition are no longer sins, but part of the charm and humor. Oh man, I almost believed it myself when I said it. Don't let the incredible writing fool you, a plot cheat is still a cheat. Also, why Dunder Mifflin? Why this branch? Oh sure, I've heard the revisionist history that a former employee had committed suicide, and the documentary crew was there to film the co-workers' reactions. But aside from how dark that is for this show, it's never mentioned once in the very first episode. Wouldn't you think if that were the point, it might come up at least once in the interviews? I'm thinking it's more likely a convenient excuse for Jim to give knowing looks to the camera. And also because the Brits did it that way, and we wanted to show them up.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
One thing this show never does a great job of making you believe is that Michael Scott would be put in charge of f***ing anything. Sitcom rules and all, but even Married with Children made us buy that Al Bundy would occasionally be able to sell a pair of shoes.
See, we have the entire floor.
I hear that might be news to Vance Refrigeration.
Just a fax.
Oh. Damn, this is from corporate.
The fact that Michael didn't do a Just the Facts Man dragnet joke is completely out of character. Considering he just did a take on Bam Bam from the Flintstones like 5 seconds ago, the outdated idiocy would be right on point.
No gifts for you.
Damn it, these two are gold together. That, the rest of the cast, the writing, just remove the sin already.
My job is to speak to clients on the phone about quantities. I'm boring myself just talking about this.
Well, it's better than not saying anything at all, I suppose. Wait, that gives me an idea for a movie. Also, just say you're in sales, instead of this protracted diatribe about the minutia of your responsibilities. Jim gets a lot of goodwill, but he's ultimately kind of a fucking hipster doofus. Also, what's the dress code at Dunder Mifflin? And Dwight wears suit coats, but Jim and Michael are in their shirt sleeves, and Jim always has that top button unbuttoned. I'm just wondering if this is as far as Jim's pushed that coat, or if he could show up in, like, a jockstrap and a t-shirt with no repercussions.
I still love that after 7 years.
Yeah, but those ads ran until 3 years prior to this episode. And don't come at me with outdated, repetitive ad concepts for beer until you've seen that dilly-dilly bullshit.
I didn't get any agenda.
Well, I faxed one over to you this morning.
Look, I realize this was in 2005, but I was working in an office then, and I remember that everyone, even then, attached agendas to an email. Or she could have just made a couple copies, considering they work at a goddamn paper company.
This does, however, mean that there's going to be downsizing.
This does not seem like a conversation you would have with Pam in attendance taking notes.
Hey, you big queen.
Oh, that's not appropriate.
And yet, instead of immediately picking up the phone, Michael just leaves it on speaker, because situation comedy has to continue to mind the situation for comedy, I guess.
Look, I've been meaning to ask her one question. Does the carpet match the drapes?
Oh my god.
Convenient, inappropriate caller commenting on Jan is convenient and inappropriate. Also, Todd Packer is not voiced by David Koechner in this episode. Hashtag not my Packer.
So what does downsizing actually mean?
Well, for the few people that saw it, they went in expecting a clever satire on the current social climate with Matt Damon, and instead got preached to about water conservation and, oh, you mean firing people.
I'm Hitler. Adolf Hitler.
We've got Hitler jokes, y'all.
Something just came up. 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Dwight, what are you doing?
Look, I can't always defend Dwight, but I'd say he's put up with enough of this bullshit. Did you see how much of Jim's shit was on his desk? Does he need all those files for this one phone call?
1 word, 2 syllables. Demarcation.
Pretty sure that's 4 syllables. Well, I get this is probably part of the humor. I'm sending this because I have to take the time to count that shit out.
It's really beyond words. It's really incalculable.
Man, I don't know how much of Steve Carell's dialogue was improvised in this show, but I choose to believe it's around 90%. And because Michael is a f***ing iconic character, I'm gonna begrudgingly remove a sin. But seriously, Jim, right?
If I left, what would I do with all this useless information in my head?
Use it to woo Emily Blunt?
Jim said mixed berries.
Oh, wow.
The Office gets a lot of credit for launching the fake documentary sitcom craze, but it should also take the blame, right? I mean, some of them suck. Look at the reboot of The Muppets, or the last 6 seasons of Modern Family.
So, Dwight, tell him about the kung fu and the car and everything.
Dwight talks about the car, but never the kung fu. What about the kung fu, Dwight?
I'm a volunteer sheriff's deputy on the weekends.
Just kind of feels like this line of dialogue might be responsible for that reality show with Steven Seagal as a sheriff, and that is most definitely a sin.
20 past 5, I still have to do my faxes.
Damn it, this pilot was way too fax-focused for the time frame in which it was filmed. Like, this plot point worked, but it was way back in 1990 in Die Hard 2.
Do you like the Jamie Kennedy experiment?
Yeah.
And Punk'd and all that kind of stuff? Okay.
Not only does he like it, BJ Novak was actually on Punk'd, which is all fine and dandy, except now it means that show exists in this universe where the actor BJ Novak exists, who has the same exact DNA as Ryan. So really, it's the whole space-time continuum that's about to be punked.
Listen, have a nice weekend.
Yeah, definitely. You too. Enjoy it.
Jim and Pam might be cute together, but will they or won't they storylines that go on for multiple seasons rarely are. Good thing that'll never happen. This episode does not contain a Bernard, or Kapoor, or Flenderson.
Can't stand the sight of blood. Not so much as a paper cut.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
So, this is my kingdom, far as the eye can see.
Everything the light touches.
People seem to like me because I am polite and I'm rarely late. I like to eat ice cream, and I really enjoy a nice pair of slacks.
How about a magic trick? I say, bring it on.
Oh, it's already been rotten.